and welcome to GeekdomMOVIES. This is another special outdoors edition. It is way too nice for us to be inside of our houses, so we had to bring it outdoors here. We're in my backyard. We've got the fire going in the background. We've got the bright lights in the garage. We've got another light over here, so we're all set up, and we're super excited. We've got some movies to talk about tonight.
Some big movies.
Big movies.
Some real movies. This
Real
ain't no
movies.
Artemis Fowl today.
Yeah, no, not none of those fake movies from last week. So today's movies we will not be forgetting anytime soon. We watched The Blood 5.
The Blood 5.
King of Staten Island.
King of Staten Island. Yeah, so Shannon sent us 2 trailers, and both actually look good in different ways.
Of course
One's
they
the Kevin Bacon one, the scary one.
Oh, so the guy who directed, and I don't know his name right now, who directed Invisible Man, my favorite horror movie of 2019, besides Midsommar, is now making another movie, and it's called Now We See That?
You killed George, by the way.
Because he loved Midsommar. We loved that movie.
Oh my god, it was pretty wild.
So, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And the trailer just dropped on Netflix. I would recommend checking out the trailer.
For 30 seconds, because Netflix will show you the entire movie in 2 minutes of the trailer.
That's true. We've been very disappointed with Netflix trailers. The other trailer that we watched was Desperados, which is a kind of a goofball, screwball comedy.
It looks funny.
Starring mostly women. Yeah. It does look pretty funny. It's kind of like a Bridesmaids or a Trainwreck where a bunch of women just get together and go on a dumb adventure. So it looks pretty silly and fun, so I'm excited for that one as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be the next episode.
I think it's funny that, we're at a time when movie theaters are opening, but now we got 2 movies that were supposed to be released in theaters. As you can tell, if you watch the Blood 5 in Staten Island, they're made as a feature to be watched in movie theaters.
It's weird to watch them on a small screen because they're supposed to be on the big screen.
And I hope people know, you guys really should go watch these movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Artemis Fowl where I'm like, it's garbage, burn it down. Like they're putting a lot of effort into these 2 movies, and they're going places that I don't really expect for regular movies. I don't know. I can't explain it. They're both really deep movies, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That has a big message, has a lot to say. They confront some things inside of you that you're not going to be happy about or want to think about.
The Blood 5 more so than King of Staten
Island.
But both.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just really appreciate that these movies exist.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some news. Before we get into that, we're gonna take a week off for July 4th. My wife and I are going up north for her birthday, and then we're also gonna do some family fun stuff.
A lot of birthdays coming up.
A lot of birthdays, including Shannon's.
Mine's on the
happy
3rd.
Birthday.
What up?
July 3rd. We'll
my
be celebrating
30th.
her.
My big 30th birthday.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Good genes. You don't look 30.
Thank you.
And George is 45, so you know.
He's been taking those supplements. He's working out.
You know, he uses that olive oil to
in the
smooth
work.
out the face, just make it young and vibrant.
It's that Dead Sea clay mask.
And I'm 85, so there's that.
Well, you just got a lot of plastic surgery.
I did.
A lot.
I woke up one day and I said, I need breast implants, and I just did it. All right, we're not on drugs, I swear. We're just being dumb.
It's all that campfire smoke. We inhaled too much.
Which is going pretty well back there, actually. I can hear it crackling.
Yeah, it's doing good.
Yeah, so we got, Tenet got pushed to now July 30th, and Mulan is now pushed to August, so there's that. I don't know what's going to happen. They opened gyms, and then they shut them right back down because the numbers are going up. So everything's still kind of up in the air. But you know what? Honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm still getting to watch some really good stuff, and we're getting to watch some really good television that I wouldn't have the opportunity to watch. Like, we saw Morning Show.
Morning Show was great.
You saw Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're gonna do some other reviews. Clone Wars. Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, there was a lot I wouldn't have been able to watch if
we were
The
still
gym
going to
had
the
been open.
yeah, or the movie theaters, we wouldn't be able to review them.
There's a lot of weight I wouldn't have gained if not for quarantine, but you know.
Definitely me, but I'm losing it. I actually lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Congrats.
So
What's
just
your
wanna-
secret?
not eating as much, and running.
Whoa.
Like, literally it.
Never would have guessed.
I know. I got like this is the first time I had fast food in a while, and I got like they were like, we have fries. I'm like, can you give me something else? They give me like a giant potato. Baked potato
at Wendy's.
It's still not the healthiest, but I think it's better than fries.
Probably.
Yeah, so
They
I don't
soak
know.
the fries in sugar, so.
Yeah, and I know for July 4th and when we go up north, I'm just gonna be a fiend and eat everything inside. So, anyways, long story short, that's been fun. But yeah, I guess we should talk about which one should
Did
we
you
do?
have any more movie news for us?
No. There's not really much to talk about these days.
I mean,
Well, can you think
Mulan
of
was the
anything?
only thing really that basically Mulan got pushed back, and I think that was it.
Yeah. Oh, Darkseid. Check out the Justice League trailer. It's really good. It's one. Have you seen Justice League, the other one that came out before?
No, I don't think. I've only seen the new Justice League.
No, the one with Zack Snyder and Batman versus Superman.
Oh yeah, the
Snyder
one that they
cut.
were gonna do the remake of.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
just dropped a teaser for that,
They did.
and it's really cool. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Wonder Woman has she's holding like a fire and she's in a cave, and she goes towards like a picture, an image in a cave painting, and it's Darkseid, which is basically the
Oh my goodness.
So
he's Thanos.
Are they
of the DC.
refilming pieces
Yeah.
of this or
Yeah.
just recutting it?
Recutting, refilming everything.
He's
It's gonna be a
cooler
different
than
movie.
Thanos, so I mean,
Yeah,
to be
they're setting
honest,
up-
he's not just a big dude. He has like all these arms and stuff. He's like Doc Ock, and like is. If I recall.
Darkseid is just basically just
Oh no, you're right.
yeah, he's a.
My bad, I was thinking
What's
of-
the one from Avengers? Oh my God, Thanos. He's just
I'm trying to-
basically the Thanos
Oh
version.
man, which character was I thinking of then?
I have no idea.
It's a different one,
Okay.
but yeah, he basically like he took over Superman's planet. I'm trying to remember.
That's
his
Darkseid.
name. That was Darkseid.
Or Brainiac.
Brainiac. There we go. That's the one I was thinking
But
of. My
Brainiac
bad.
was working for Darkseid
bad.
when that happened.
Oh.
Yeah. Long
Okay.
story short, it's all connected somehow. So yeah, that I mean, I'm excited. I can't say I didn't like or dislike Justice League. It was just okay, and Batman versus Superman was okay. So who knows how this will turn out when they do release it. But yeah, that was cool. I'm glad I got to see something. It was kind of early for them to drop a little teaser because it's not even coming out till 2022.
They didn't mean to drop the teaser. Jason Momoa dropped it, and he wasn't supposed to.
Wait, what?
Yes.
really?
So
I don't know.
Possible.
Zack Snyder sent out a little cut, a little teaser for just the actors that were, part of it. And then Jason Momoa dropped it on his Insta.
Without realizing.
And he dropped it on Instagram, and he
Without
said
realizing.
one of the things, yeah. Well, that's up for debate. But he dropped it, and he said, "I'm friends with Zack Snyder, so I get to see things like this early. Here's a teaser for everybody." Yeah.
I'll look into it. I had no idea actually about that news. I just saw the teaser. But it looks cool. I'm excited to see how it turns out. But yeah, we should move on to our first movie, The Blood 5.
The Blood 5.
We want to make sure that all of us give our 2-3 minute review of what we thought of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote a lot of stuff down because I just had so much to say about both of these movies, and I couldn't, and I didn't want to miss anything because they're all so important. So I wrote little paragraphs that I can go into while I talk about it. So yeah, do you guys mind if I start first?
I would.
Go right
I
ahead.
prefer it.
You prefer? You want to go last, George?
Yes, I do.
All right, I'm making you go first with Staten Island this time.
Oh.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. All right. So, The Blood 5.
Black GI, is it fair to serve more than the white Americans that sent you here? Nothing is more confused than to be ordered into a war to die without the faintest idea of what's going on. I dedicate this next record to the soul brothers of the 1st Infantry Divisions. Be safe.
Can't put it off another day. Regiment, welcome back to Vietnam.
Look what I found.
Dirty man in all his glory.
Who was that guy? That brother was the best damn soldier that ever lived. We bury it. Later on, we come back and collect.
I shall resign the presidency.
Being back here, it is not easy.
Now the time has come. Time is no place to run.
I'm broken, man. So what, you blaming yourself? You don't even know. No!
I've been loved and put aside. I've been crushed by tumbling tide. And my soul has been psychedelicized.
We've been dying for this country from the very get.
Now the time has come. There are things to realize.
We give this goal
Has come today.
to our people.
Hold on!
In my line of work, I have to be very careful. And that means knowing exactly who I am in business with.
What can I say about this movie without not knowing what I was going to watch, except it's a Spike Lee joint, and his last movie was The Black Klansman, which was my favorite movie of 2018, 2 years ago, and it won best screenwriting because it's a true story of a black cop being the first black cop. Really good movie, positive message. Nothing. Have you seen it?
Watch the Joe Rogan interview with the real life guy. Amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I started to watch it.
You started to watch it? I love that movie. I really love that movie.
It looked
so.
amazing.
My problem is, I was really hyped for this movie because I love that movie, and they're not even close to being in the same ballpark yet, dealing with the same issue when it comes to racism and what that looks like in America. So, what did I like about this movie? The thing that I'm most shocked about, and I had to write this down, is the brotherhood of these five guys was so well portrayed for me.
Mm-hmm.
They did a really good job of showing their different personalities. They don't really like each other, but they will die for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of cool. And we can talk more about that in the spoilers, because there's a lot of spoilers in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets intense. So I'm just going to keep it very simple for you guys, because I just don't want to ruin it for you. I really think you should watch it and have your own opinions. So the thing that I realized was, I really like Vietnam movies. I think the Vietnam movies were the first movies to make me realize, like, when you come back from war, you're not coming back as a whole person. You're still in the war in your mind. And it helped me understand PTSD, which was very new at the time. It helped me understand why we don't blame soldiers, but we blame the government. The soldiers are not the bad guys. They're just drafted or told what to do, but we have to look at in a different light. And I thought that was always really good that Vietnam really kind of started that. And you know, these people were traumatized, and the government poisoned their own people. They dropped orange, what is it called,
Agent Orange.
Agent Orange,
yeah.
on their own soldiers, and it was just like horrible to watch. Like, even then, if you haven't seen a Vietnam movie, I can name you three really great, really great, like, Vietnam movies. Not easy to watch.
Bridge on the River Kwai?
That's World War One.
Oh.
But it is a war movie, so you were close. Platoon, really great film. Apocalypse Now, and Full Metal Jacket. All three deal with similar themes: PTSD, Agent Orange, what it means to be a soldier, and what these guys did and how they came back and were treated. All of that stuff is there. The thing that really blew me away about this movie was, and I didn't realize it until I was watching this, we've never had a movie version of black people from Vietnam War. We never did. We always got to see it from the white American soldiers' point of view. But this is the first time, 40 years later, that we're first getting our first African American movies representation and they're like what they saw in the war. So never too late. I'm glad it's there. So yeah, I really appreciated that. What I also want to talk about a little bit is these men who continue to live in the jungle and confined to these ghosts. Those ghosts, like, you got to see Chadwick Boseman, who is Black Panther in the Marvel movies. He's with them. He is kind of like they're kind of like a Christ figure and like God person. Like when there's this really beautiful scene where they reflect on Martin Luther King Jr. when he gets shot and they're in Vietnam. Yeah. And they're like, they want to be angry. They want to do bad things. They want to be violent. But then Chadwick Boseman, who's kind of like their leader, is like, no. Like, then his sacrifice means nothing. If, like, you know, and you got to see that. I like the parallels of, like, who they are as African Americans fighting for a war, but at the same time, they're also fighting and trying to understand who they are as Americans. Really powerful stuff. I also just really connected with, one of them has PTSD really badly, and you can tell from the moment you see him, something is just kind of off. And I won't go into like what happens to him, but he's a really great character to like really digest and like psychologically break down. And I just really appreciated his whole entire performance. And the other thing I wanted to say is that the look, the directing, the acting is really beautiful.
I agree.
One of the things I really appreciated was how the camera changes. So when they're in the city and it's just a regular city and they're just talking, it's 2:3:5 ratio, standard widescreen. Mm-hmm. And then when they are in the past in the jungle fighting the war, it's 4:3 square screen, like it's like old film footage, like to show you that this is like the 1960s, 70s, or 80s, or whatever it was. Yeah. And then like when they're in the modern day jungle, you can tell the picture image jumps to like full blown screen where it's like IMAX. At least that's what I could tell on my TV. This was definitely, the picture is very crisp. It's very detailed.
Very detailed.
It comes off a little bit like you're watching a documentary. Speaking of documentary, some people say that the documentary footage with the movie threw them kind of out of the movie. It actually helped me be in the movie more with the real footage. So I actually appreciated that. And I liked the Vietnam woman who was kind of like on the radio. Tien. And I liked what she said about, why are you killing us when you don't even have the freedom there? Why are you coming to Vietnam? Just really things that just something about something, you know, just for the sake of like a story and what it's taking place. And I liked the history of that and her talking about that history. And I really liked that these guys, yes, they went to go. It's a story about getting gold and like they're trying to find gold, and they found gold in Vietnam. But at the same time, it's also about getting their brother from Vietnam back, so he can have a proper burial in the memorial of like the veteran cemetery, whatever it's called. I'm blanking. I'm sorry. Like, it's, if you're a soldier and you die.
The memorial over by the Washington Monument.
Yeah,
Arlington Cemetery.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And so I really connected with that, because I do think like people should respect these people who die for us. I've never been in a war, and no matter what war is, somebody going to do that and not risking their life, they deserve that kind of honor, you know. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now comes the bad part. Things I did not like about the movie.
Oh man.
There's a father and son relationship that I can go more into detail in the spoilers. It's not a bad story. I just wish it could have been worked better, if that makes any sense, without spoilers. The other thing that really bothered me, and I was trying to like come up with the right words to say this, to really describe it. I can't. So bear with me on this one. There's a character who wears a Trump hat, and Spike Lee is going out of his way to like kind of be anti-Trump about it, and it's a waste. It has
I agree.
no point in this movie did I feel that doesn't the story stand on its own. The story is great. These 5 guys, they go to the jungle, they retrieve their brother, they have issues, and their brothers also. The story stands on its own, and it's distracting. This stupid hat that they keep showing, like Make America Great Again, had no impact.
No point.
0 impact on what this movie was
One
trying
good joke, and that was it. One funny joke.
I don't know what joke that is.
It's at the start when they talk about him, whether he was the guy at the Trump rally.
And they have
Trump points out.
stock footage.
Yeah.
And that part was actually kind of funny. Yeah.
They have stock footage of a black guy who's obviously not him at a Trump rally with his eyes like blacked out so that you can't tell.
Spike Lee, we know you're not a Trump supporter. I get it. Like, you have been pretty vocal about it for like 4 years, but you hurt your own movie by forcing this story that didn't need it to be there. I would have preferred you take more time with the father and son. I would have preferred more time with these people who go and like take care of mines and like remove mines so that innocent kids and families and people don't step on them.
Yeah.
There's so many other things you could have put effort and energy into, and this movie would have been just fine. Nonetheless, this movie is still great. It is just my pet peeve about it. And those are the only things that I can really say that just kind of didn't work for me. But everything else does. I'm glad this movie's there. I'm glad. I mean, you can tell they care. They deeply care about the story. They're pushing buttons. You're feeling so many emotions. At one point, you're mad at the characters. Then other times, you're sympathizing with the characters. Other times, you feel sad about the characters. It all works really well. Just, I wish you would have taken out this has nothing to do with Trump. This is Vietnam. These are about these guys who are going back to Vietnam to recover their brother. And like, I even thought about, like, there's a moment with something to do with Black Lives Matter, and it was okay. Like, that part
It felt a little forced.
It did, but it didn't hurt the movie as much as the Trump thing.
It didn't take away from the movie at all.
No. Stick to Muhammad Ali. Stick to Malcolm X's words versus Martin Luther King Jr.'s words. Stick to their personal journey about, like, coming back from PTSD, and, like, the stuff about God was so good. The stuff about their brother and how much they love him and they come together. About the stuff in the culture. I love the beginning when those old guys are, like, giving them a shot, and they're like, oh, they fought you, but now they're having there's so many good things that they could have. I would have loved that. I would have loved a conversation that they sat down with the Vietnamese soldiers, like in the beginning of the movie where they're kind of giving a shot and raising their hands. They could have put so much energy towards so many better things that this movie could have done. I feel really connected to this story, and I think it's a great movie, and I'm just sad that there wasn't more of that stuff. Nonetheless, for my review, go watch it. Really great film. I'll go to Shannon next.
Okay, where to begin? I do agree with most of what you said. I think this movie has a lot of positives. It was very beautiful to look at. The soundtrack was my favorite part.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Marvin Gaye, then, like, it does pretty much the entire soundtrack is Marvin Gaye songs, which are really fun. The main characters are a lot of fun to hang out with. I liked this movie up until the point where they struck gold. I don't know if that's not really a spoiler. It happens pretty early in the movie.
I think it's in the trailers too.
Yeah.
Looking for gold, yeah.
So up until the point where they strike gold, it's like we're on a pirate treasure hunt. And I was like, oh, this is a modern day pirate movie, and they're going to go on a treasure hunt and have these adventures, and it's going to be great. And then once they find the gold, it was all downhill from there for me. I think they missed a lot of huge opportunities. Did you notice that nobody really learns or grows or learns anything in this movie?
that is not true.
I didn't see any character development.
Not at all.
There was, especially with trying to remember his name.
PTSD guy.
Yeah.
The son.
Yeah.
What did he learn? He runs away from his son.
He
and
learned
then...
forgiveness, actually,
He's
and
been-
then like he realized that.
Okay, let's.
If I
let's
say
just,
any more,
I'm
it's gonna
sorry.
be spoilers.
Sorry. Yes.
So yeah,
there is
we
growth.
gotta-
We'll just
All right, back to you, Shannon.
All right, well, I can see where you're coming from on that. Yeah, I don't think that there was enough learning or enough growth for me to really like this movie. It was kind of a very depressing, sad movie for most of this. There were some really great moments in it, but not enough to tie it together to make it a full movie for me. Not like a fully emotional, satisfying movie. There was a lot of things that I would have liked to see happen differently without going into spoilers. There's just a lot of characters that just go nowhere and don't have a character arc. There's a lot of characters that are kind of undeveloped, and I would have liked to see more, but oddly less, because this movie was way too long. It was 2.5 hours long, and I was trying to get through it, and I had to watch it in like 3 different segments because I couldn't keep my attention to it. So there are good parts where it's a lot of fun to be with these characters in the first like 20-30 minutes, and then after that, for me, it kind of went downhill, and I was not enjoying it as much towards the end. A lot of the political stuff that was in this, like you said, Fahad, with the Trump hat, I don't know what the point was. I don't understand what point he was trying to make.
It really does take you out of like a really good story.
I don't know what the point was.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was trying to say that you have to be crazy to put on a Trump hat. I don't know. I don't understand what his point was.
He was saying basically that black people should not vote for Trump and that he's bad. He's a Klansman in office. But again, that's a different movie. I don't know why this needed to be here.
Yeah, that wasn't really... The point did not come across. I didn't understand it. But, you know, it was something different at least. I haven't seen a black character wear a Trump hat in a movie before, so at least it was something new.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
If you're going to watch this movie, do it because you really love Vietnam stuff.
Like me.
If you're not into war movies, this probably isn't for you. I did like some of the stuff they said about God in this movie.
Yeah, that stuff was great.
The stuff that they say about God, it's worth it to watch the movie for that. So
if you're a Christian,
you probably will get something out of this.
Yeah.
It might not be your favorite movie, but you might get something out of watching this. But for the most part, I would say skip it unless you're really into war movies and that's your thing.
All right. Well, this will be interesting. Part of the problem is that a lot of the good and bad things with this movie that really stick out in my mind, they're extremely specific. So I'll do my best to make sure that
it kind of gives like an overall feel of the movie without going into detail, I guess.
Absolutely. All right, so this movie, I went into it expecting something somewhat similar to Black Klansman because you
that movie is awesome.
It is. It is absolutely awesome.
You definitely should see it.
Oh yeah,
it's
very
so good.
And like that's actually something that they bring up in the Black Klansman is the fact some of the different history points that they point out.
But it works
in this movie, and it's kind of interesting. So I think this might have been like a building upon that. And since this is a since this is a fictional film, it's a little bit harder for me to try to get a I don't know, like a knowledgeable opinion of something, or like a basically to try to build onto my current knowledge of situations if it's fictional. So because that was one part that was kind of confusing when they were swapping back and forth between like historical events to theoretical events. I like that was a little bit confusing, and that's why I kind of wish this had actually been like based off a true story or something, just because I feel like that would have given me a better view of what exactly was happening. But honestly, this movie was it was very eye-opening because like it brings up historical facts that you don't normally hear about, and I think it's important that people do realize that especially in regards to the draft, people didn't have an option on that. And I know Muhammad Ali was actually lots of people called him a draft dodger because he didn't believe in it, and he had good reason not to. I mean, we look back at it now and we're like, wow, Vietnam was a complete mistake, and so yeah, he had very good reason for why he did not want to go over there and be in the military for that. But so this movie, it's like a combination for me. It's a combination.
I still don't know why we were in Vietnam. I still have no idea.
Yeah, honestly, I don't either.
I was like thinking about this. I'm like, I've seen like 4 Vietnam movies, and I still know what was the point of it all. But anyway,
it's
sorry,
true.
George, keep going.
It's true. It seems to be the way it is with quite a few wars, actually. But so this seemed like a combination to me of like Spike Lee was trying to create, like a theoretical situation of nowadays Vietnam vets, right, that are black, and also trying to bring up the history, the historical points as to why they might or might not believe in certain things nowadays. And it was very eye-opening because it helps show just how messed up the draft really is, and the fact that it does end up being skewed, like in regards to who ends up being selected for it. And it was just I don't know, it's very educational, but at the same time it's like the part of it that wasn't educational, I feel like I could have done without most of that. Yeah. Just because it was like bouncing back and forth, like you're trying to learn something from this and you're also trying to
follow the story.
Follow the story, which at certain points, like actually, as you said, when they found the gold, like certain aspects of that just seemed so fake that I couldn't like connect with the story at that point.
He goes out to dig a hole, and he like exactly hits a bar of gold, like completely by chance, and it was like, all right.
It was a little far-fetched on that, which I had some issues with. I mean, not that I haven't seen cheesy movies as well, but it's like I wanted to watch this movie and I wanted to learn something from it. So
I feel like we learned something, but we also didn't learn enough.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense at all.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true, though. It's like we wanted more knowledge of what happened.
Yeah.
Of what's going on, and it's like he tried to combine something that like had a fun Hollywood kind of story.
He's jumping themes and storylines and trying to connect to things that have zero reason to connect to. That's what it felt like to me.
There was like a 5-minute scene where and this isn't really gonna be a spoiler, but the daughter that just learned about is trying to figure out more about her dad, and there's like this whole 5-minute scene that goes into her story, and it doesn't even matter because like she's not even a part of the movie. So like, why are we spending time talking about her? Like that whole scene could have been cut and we would have lost nothing.
Well,
there were a lot of scenes that were just nothing.
I think that's because they all needed their background check, or like to have some kind of meaning to each character, maybe.
I think that one actually was an important one because that actually brought up one of the more historical facts of what happens to people. Okay. I don't know if I can actually say this because this is part of spoilers.
This movie is so hard to talk about.
It's so hard to talk about because like half of it, like the important part of it is spoilers.
Jump
okay, let's just give our final. I'm gonna say watch it. You might not like it, you might like it, but you'll learn something. That's my review.
Unless you're really into war movies, skip this one.
This one, honestly, for me, it made me feel very psychologically on edge afterwards, so I'm not sure how many people I would suggest this movie to.
Yeah, so, like that's most Vietnam movies too, though. Like they give the same exact. Your heart is racing. You're like
true, but I mean, like after this movie, I mean, like I legitimately felt somewhat enraged, and I'm not sure if that's a good feeling to have.
No, it is.
No,
that's
I think that if you want to keep peace of mind, don't watch this movie. But
watch it in a better setting, maybe like when you're more ready for a hard movie like this to really, maybe if you're in a bad place.
Yeah,
if you're in a bad place, this is not the movie for
2020
you.
is already a rough year.
Yeah.
Watching this movie right now is rough.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure about that.
Which is weird because I found this really entertaining.
I thought it was boring.
It all depends. The historical aspects of it are extremely entertaining.
Yeah,
and honestly, they're really good to know. Like,
yeah.
if it was just like if you literally cut out the entire movie and just had the history portion of it, I would watch this movie.
Yeah.
Being that it has all this added extra stuff that just enrages me because it's pitting people against each other, I'm just like, no, I cannot. I can't watch this movie.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I was getting at. Like, there's not a good coming together and understanding each other at the end of this movie. That's what I wanted to see, and it does not happen.
Which is why I liked it, because that's what those other Vietnam movies are about. Like, they're about humans in a war that was just so terrible on every sense of the word. From Agent Orange, to the PTSD, to the Americans who hated the soldiers, and now you add in racism. It is a very tough movie, and it's a subject that's important, but also at the same time, it's not easy to swallow. That like you should. That's what I was saying. Like, if you felt enraged, that's the point. You should be enraged, because we should not have another Vietnam ever, in my opinion, and I hope we don't. But like, it's a movie that has. You
say that, but you also have no idea what the point of Vietnam was.
I have no idea, but yet, like, I've seen 4 movies.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you question the point of a war that much, why is there a war? Like, it's kind of like, I know things in World War II obviously weren't. It's almost like it seemed easier because we were able to have a bad guy in it.
We got to get Hitler.
Exactly.
Very
and
clear
so because of that,
bad guy.
because of that, literally, we have built on that for what? It's been like 60, 80 years now, where we're just, like, we've had it in our culture that, hey, we're gonna, like, all these movies, let's go get rid of Hitler. Let's go, like,
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, and like, these are great movies. Why? Because there was actually someone who was bad at the time.
Well, the bad guy here is like this ideology and this war that didn't make any sense.
But then at the same time, though, it's like, at the end of it, nobody reconciles really with each other, and no one ends up. Yeah. No one ever got to a point where they could actually look at the other person and really consider them like a brother.
That's what I was saying.
That was the problem I had with it.
Yes.
Was that it's like, by the end of it, I was just enraged. Everybody was angry with each other.
Yes.
And like, like, the son was taking advantage of the dad. The dad turns on the son. Like, stuff gets way out of hand in this movie, and I couldn't handle that psychologically.
Oh, that's the part of my review I forget. I'm like, I like how they don't portray, like, when you watch Just Mercy or like Black Klansman, they take away the dirty effect of humanity, because we're not all bad, but we're also not all good. We're just people, and people do bad things, but also people do good things.
Right.
And that's the thing that I did like about this movie. It's not some, like, okay, like, war is bad, and what happened to them is bad. Like, segregation and racism is bad, but that doesn't take away from who they are as human beings. They are broken people who are doing their best to retrieve their friend, but they also want the gold because they're human. They like money and greed, and that one guy actually talks about that. And this is where I'm going to say we're going to go into spoilers. Hello, everyone. This is Fahad. As you're aware, we are skipping the spoiler part of this review because the video went a little bit too long and we didn't want to do a whole episode that was 2 hours long. We will do a separate video with the spoiler review for the Dub Blood 5 next week, and here you can just enjoy, for now, the next review, King of Staten Island. So thank you, enjoy it, and we will see you next time.
Alright, so our next movie is another one that I think we're all going to have a lot to say about. The trailers was really good for this, and without further ado, we're going to jump into Staten Island, and I believe George is going to take us starting off on this one.
Okay, well, this movie was rather interesting. It was about main character is Pete Davidson. I think everybody knows him from SNL. And
I just know him as Ariana Grande's boyfriend.
Yeah,
That's all I know about him. Seriously.
Forgot they dated.
They almost got married.
I know.
That's in one of her songs. So anyways, and he honestly, he absolutely killed it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it was really good. But this was a personal movie for him, being
Very
that, you know,
personal.
his dad was a firefighter who had died in 9/11, and so this was the story
Like a
of
love letter to his dad.
yeah, absolutely.
I like your tattoos. What are those numbers on your arm?
Oh, that's the date my dad died. He was a fireman. Died in a fire 17 years ago.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. It's fine.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Not your dad.
You can't focus on Scott anymore, honey. He's 24 years old, Marjorie. Let that fucking bird fly, please.
Don't worry, Mom. I know your daughter got smart and went to college and abandoned us. But I'm still here. I'm gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
People told me slow my roll.
I want to become a real tattoo artist.
Your work is mad inconsistent. Obama ain't right.
Oh, I love your tattoos. This is my favorite.
I've been dating someone for a little while now.
The first guy you date in 17 years is a fireman, just like that? You don't think that's weird?
You're gonna have to pull your weight a little more around here. Maybe help Ray get his kids to school.
Kelly, do you know him?
He's a new friend.
You okay? You know you could tell me.
I'm okay.
Oh, I trained her in the car. She's not gonna break.
You ever think about putting on the jacket?
Why would you even ask me that?
What's wrong with being a fireman?
It's fine if you don't have kids, because you don't know if you're gonna come home or not, and then your kids are fucked up.
You make everyone around you feel crazy. People are normal, then they hang out with you, and then they're fucking Jack Nicholson in The Shining or something.
I gotta tell my mom you tried to drown me.
It's an above ground pool. You're like fucking 8 feet tall.
And let me tell you something. Your dad was a hero. And heroes are necessary. And they should be allowed to have families.
You gotta get your shit together. Time is passing by very quickly.
Why do you think I smoke weed all the time? So I could slow it down. I just feel like everybody's always disappointed in me, and I never live up to anybody's expectations. Hey, thanks for listening to all this. You're one of the few people who treat me, you know, like a person.
You're welcome.
I went into this movie, like, I didn't expect it to go as deep as it did.
Yeah, same.
I was already expecting it to be pretty deep, but I mean, like, this movie gets really deep.
And yet really funny.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, they had a perfect combination of, like,
of
like, comedy and, like, just,
balance. This movie epitomizes balance.
Yeah. And it also shows, I think it also shows, you know, some of the different aspects of depression that people don't normally recognize, really.
Or ADHD, like me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the thing is that, like, a lot of the symptoms that he had, they aren't, I mean, they're very subtle, because, like, it's essentially a point of, like, not caring about yourself in it, and that's more so the, I'd have to say that's more so, like, what I was getting from it. And the interactions, though, that he ended up having, things that he had to overcome in this, and, like, how to find a way that, you know, even though he's dealt with, you know, some extreme tragedy, that he has to move forward and move on with his life. And the way he does that is very interesting to me. I really liked it. But yeah,
that's your review.
That's for starters, because I'm still
Pre-spoiler review.
Pre-spoiler, yes.
So, go ahead, Shannon.
This movie, going into it, I didn't know what to expect other than Judd Apatow makes pretty good movies, and I was pleasantly surprised. This is a slice of life movie, so
100%.
I've been into the slice of life movies as an adult. I hated these kind of movies when I was a kid. I thought they were
That's
so
because you're
pointless.
an adult now.
That's true. I thought they were so pointless when I was younger, but, like, Lady Bird was good.
Oh, Lady Bird.
Yeah, like the Florida Project was good. The one with Brie Larson, Short Term 12 was so good. Just these like, here's what my life is like, and you'll never be able to experience it the way I experience it, but let me show you into my world and just spend a week with me and I'll show you what I'm going through, like give you a new perspective on life. And those movies are so interesting to me now. So this one follows Pete Davidson basically playing himself. And if you don't know anything about Pete Davidson, like you said, his dad died when he was a fireman in 9/11, but Pete Davidson like took all of that pain and turned it into comedy. They say comedy is pain plus time. And he became a stand-up comedian when he was 16 years old. And
I actually didn't know that.
Somehow bumped into the right people, and they put him on Saturday Night Live at 17 years old. And he
Wait, really?
Very young, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he was like half the age of the rest of the cast.
Wow.
So he has quite the story here. But this movie is like a love letter to the father that he only remembered from being like 3 or 4 years old. Oh no, he was 7 when his dad died. There's a couple of like lines and scenes in this movie that just like got to me so much and like
emotionally
hit me emotionally.
Oh, okay.
This is like a biography of every guy I went to high school with. Pretty much everyone except for you. But
oh man,
because we went to high school together. But like the stereotypical the stereotypical like high school guy who just like smokes weed, gets tattoos, doesn't care about anything, like has no ambition in life,
right, that
lives
wasn't
at
my
home
crowd
with
at
their
all.
mom in their basement. Yeah, you weren't like that at all. But like that stereotypical kid that everyone looks down on as kind of like a loser kid. You're never going to go to college. You're never going to do anything with your life. What are you doing? Why are you wasting all your time on drugs? Like, if you've ever looked at somebody like that and went, how did they get there? This movie like spells it out for you, and it makes you realize like those aren't bad people. They're just trying to survive life in the best way that they know how, for the most part. It kind of made me empathize with people like that. I think I already did before this movie, but this movie really brings it to the forefront. And Pete Davidson is just so likable. He's hilarious. He's a really warm-hearted, like good, well-meaning kid who's just trying to get through day by day and survive. But he's also very cynical because he went through this tragedy and he doesn't really care about a whole lot of things. But at the same time, the things he does care about, he cares about deeply. So without going into spoilers, that's all I can say about it. But I did really like this movie. Definitely check it out.
Yeah. So I didn't watch any trailers because I just avoid trailers now because when I go to the movie theater. So I was like, I'll just experience it. So I didn't know where the story was going, but I really appreciated the relationship between his character and Bill Burr, who's dating his mom, even though he like tried to draw a tattoo on his son's and there are parts of this movie that are just so sweet, like him walking the kids to school.
That was so sweet.
And the teacher's like,
Are you
is
okay,
he your
sweetie?
friend? Yeah, like, do you know him? And then the mom was like, you're not like a pedophile or like rapist or something, are you? And he's like, no, your ex is just...
You shouldn't be watching these kids. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, he's like, are you a bad person? Are you normal? He's like, no, I'm really bad.
I'm
It's
not
like,
normal.
A normal person wouldn't admit that.
Yeah.
Some of these lines
so
are
messed up.
so funny, and I was dying. And I love just this weird turmoil relationship. Like, this guy takes him out to like a baseball game with like other firefighters, and he just trashes them. He's like, "Oh my god,
that was hilarious."
Yeah.
I like his opinion.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was like one of the best things in it.
But you know, he felt that with his dad.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I don't. I just like him. I'll go more into spoilers, but he eventually just ends up at the firehouse or whatever, and those scenes are so funny, but also really great stuff.
I'm gonna be watching this one again. It's
You
very
think so?
it's uplifting.
It's very good.
Yeah, and
I might treat my brother to watch it.
Yeah. I really like the part where he gets kicked out of the house and he comes back home and his mom has like remodeled the entire home, and he's like, "I'm sorry, sweetie. You're right. I'm being me. Let's talk about it." And she just shuts the door. And then like he throws him in the pool and they're like fighting, and it's like,
I'm gonna tell
I'm
gonna tell Mom you tried to drown me in an above ground pool. You're like 6 feet tall.
Oh my gosh! And the tattoos, like he's drawing these tattoos on his back, and he's like, I've always liked Bill Burr. If you watch his comedy, he's like the Dave Chappelle. He tells you exactly what is in his mind, and he's offensive, very offensive. Very offensive, but it's like, and you can't get mad at him because you're like, okay, but like you're also saying something that kind of makes sense here, so I can't get mad with you. If you guys have never seen Bill Burr's stand up,
I haven't.
Please do. It's the funniest. He's married to a very nice, beautiful African American woman, but he's the most redneck you can be, and he shares the conversations he has with his wife, and like about racism and issues. And he talks about it in his stand-up, and they're so freaking hilarious. Okay. He's not a racist. You might think like, oh, that was kind of... No, he's just literally just like having conversation. He married a black person. He's not a racist. But like the conversations they're having about the things he doesn't understand about black people and racism with his wife, and like how he brings it into like in front of crowds, everybody just finds it great. So you might be offended, like, why is he talking like that? It's because he's married to an African American, and he talks about that relationship. But yeah, Bill Burr can act, and I didn't know that. He was already funny as a stand-up comedian, but he really shows his acting chops here. I completely bought about this like miserable old firefighter man who's like just hates life, but somehow finds love through it all with his mom and through the son, and like having him. Okay, spoilers starting now because we all like this movie. Just go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it.
Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it.
The whole firehouse thing where he shows up the first time, he's like, "What the F are you doing here?" He's like, "I have nowhere to go." So you come to me? Like everything Bill Burr did in this movie had me like laugh. Even when he's not being funny, I was just laughing because his delivery is just so absurd about everything. It's like, can we get more bread? I would like some more bread. I don't know, just like really dumb stuff. And I like the bonding that took place where like they talked about his dad, and he was like, "Hey, don't you remember what you said, like when you first heard about like his father dying in the fire?" He was like, "No, what did I say?" He said, "Gosh, I hope he doesn't have small children or small kids." That
was one of the lines that just like wrecked me.
Yeah, because like John, what's his name? The other actor, John Buscemi. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. He was like, "Didn't you say you wish you could do something for his family when he first heard the fire?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Okay then."
Well, here it is.
Yeah, like you didn't have to spell it out for you. He's like, "Oh crap, I gotta let him stay here."
That line really like kicks the movie into gear.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You realize like none of them can stand this annoying kid who like has no purpose and no direction in life, but they all were friends with his dad. And they're all gonna go out of their way to like take care of their friend's son and get him back on track because this kid desperately needs a dad. Like there's only so much a mom can do for you. Like that there's things that a dad can do that a mom just can't be for you. Yeah. And I say that as a future mother. So like
you need a father figure or somebody like a
You need a father figure. Yeah.
Right.
And Onward. When was really good at portraying this as well.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like when we watched Onward, that whole movie is about like, yeah, my mom is great, but I need a father figure in my life. And this movie is about Pete Davidson finding that father figure and like moving forward.
That's true. Like these movies came out like a few months apart, but they're both dealing with like kids with daddy issues.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Missing fathers, trying to replace what they. Not replace their fathers, but fulfill the role that they're missing in their life.
Yeah, and I liked even the beginning is really heart-wrenching because the daughter is leaving for college, I guess, and like she's like, "I need you to be nice to mom. I need you to figure your stuff out, and you gotta be nice to her. And of course, he doesn't figure it out, and he gets kicked out of the house. But the point is, like, these movies, like you said, slice of life. Like, they feel like real. These feel like real people.
Oh yeah, you feel like you could just drive over to his house and go meet him tomorrow.
Yeah. And I like that. Like, his girlfriend shows up too. She was in the morning show. I kept looking at her.
Yes, she was in the morning show.
You're the British lady from the morning show.
She is such a good actress.
No, because I didn't recognize her at all until
her accent is completely
gone.
different.
It's like Brooklyn, like
she's
like,
really British. So that was her real accent in the morning show.
Right.
And then she just went complete New York, and it was really good.
The whole time she came out, I'm like, where do I know you from? And then I
recognized
like,
her right
oh my
away.
God, I just saw you in morning show.
I was like, it's Claire.
Yeah.
She's very she sparkles on screen. She's
oh
great.
Yeah, and I like when she comes into the restaurant and he's just gonna like, hey, can I take your order? And then she just like storms out. Like, I actually like him. I was trying to make you jealous.
What should I tell your date? I don't know. I met him 10 minutes ago
on Tinder.
Yeah. I picked the hottest guy on Tinder, and you didn't even care.
That was hilarious.
So good.
And then, but that's so sweet because he says to her, he's like, you don't want to be with me because I'm so messed up. I have no idea how to show like my true feelings. But through his experience with like being at the firehouse and like
he learns.
He learns.
He
and
matures
he actually
so much.
Yeah, and then he shows up and he's like, hey, like I heard you had a test today, so I guess I'll go with you to New York. And
he learns how to just be there for her and support her, which he didn't know how to do before.
Because no father figure was there to like show him that,
right?
On how to like treat women.
Yeah,
a mom can't do that, like you were saying.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about. I was like, oh, this is why a father figure is important, and it made sense in the sense of the movie, like what it means to be a man and what does a man has to be to your significant other or family or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does that. He just kind of like just sits with her in the train and does the test.
Helps her study.
And it's like, okay, well, good luck. I'll wait for you. And it just kind of shows that he's ready to mature and be in a really, he's changed basically. Like he's ready for a real relationship. And
that's what women really want, is someone that they can lean on and that they can trust and that will support them.
Right.
I thought that was interesting that they chose that as the ending.
I loved it.
That was really cool.
It's classic Hollywood, like, you know, it just kind of leaves it out in the open and just kind of shows you.
He's
like
about ready to go walk around town or something.
Yeah, there's so many great movies where it just kind of like open-ended ending. Like, he doesn't say he's a firefighter. He doesn't say that he's gonna marry this girl. It just kind of says he grew.
Yeah, he grew. Yeah,
and that's all it
the
says.
whole point.
And that's such a beautiful ending. That in itself is more important than showing me like he's now a firefighter or whatever, or like, you know, married, or I don't know. Just like it's like a completion of where the story started. We were so immature.
The movie had a point, and it made its point well.
Yeah. No, I don't know what else to say. I really like this movie. What else you guys got to say before we move on?
I don't know. I thought that old man's or his grandpa's spiel about college is that I just loved it.
Yeah.
That was so hilarious.
Pete Davidson's real life grandfather's in this movie.
He is?
For a cameo. He's the old guy talking about college.
Oh, the beginning with the party. Yeah. Okay.
It was hilarious.
The other line that like really hit me hard, I actually had to like pause the movie after I heard it, was when he's walking the two little kids to school, and he tells the older brother, like, kiss your sister, give her a hug, and the older brother's like, why? I don't want to do that. And he goes, you gotta give her a hug and a kiss, because if she dies tomorrow, that'll be the last thing you remember. That like cut.
Yeah.
So
really?
That got me so deep.
What a weird thing to say to children.
No, it's not, because that was his experience.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the situations, even in
Well, while you think about
anyways, there was so let me move on from that. The one of the other things that I really liked was when that other firefighter explained to Pete Davidson, he's like, he explained to him his experiences with his dad, and also like his reasoning for why heroes should be able to have families.
Oh yes,
and that was like that one honestly, like I hate to say it, but like I had kind of in the past had a ideology kind of similar to what Pete Davidson's was, where, you know, like if you're at risk for, you know, dying, then why have a family, you know?
Yeah.
And like that what he ended up saying, like I thought was extremely helpful for even for me, like just hearing that it was amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there was a lot of really good, redeeming, wonderful, good things that happened in this movie. Like with Dub Blood 5, I just felt like everything was fatalist and everything sucks at the end.
It's
of
a
that
very
movie.
different type of story. Yeah.
This is like
They're both serious films.
redemptive, and you feel good at the end of this one. You feel like you learned something, like the character grew, and you feel like these characters are gonna be okay. And I just enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
I was gonna say every actor in this movie is like perfection. Even the small characters.
Even the
like
kids.
the friends. It's like, I want you to take care of my cat.
Okay, this is
the kids.
I finally remembered where it was. This actually isn't a movie, but it was from The Last of Us 2.
Okay.
That's why I was watching The Last of Us 2, so for some reason I thought it was.
Were you
a movie.
playing it?
No, I watched the cutscenes.
Oh,
They call it a game.
I was like, it's
movie.
a game. Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
but it's just a situation of like it ends up throwing back to a point where, like, she said something to him that she regretted.
Okay.
And it was an instance where basically like she
the
didn't
last thing
tell
she
him.
said.
Yeah, the last thing she said before he died, kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's
It just kind of reminded you.
Yeah.
Well, and when he says that line to the brother, like, well, yeah, you have to give her a hug, 'cause that's going to be the last thing you remember. You realize that he's thinking about that 24/7. That's all that's ever on his mind, was like the last thing that he said to his dad, or like, I could lose anybody at any time. You never know when you're going to die. You never know when your loved ones are going to die.
Right.
And you realize that he is completely scarred, and that's what his whole life revolves around.
Right.
Is this incident where his father died.
Right.
That killed me.
Well, having that aspect of him losing his father to a fire, actually, that's one thing that I wish they had just done.
Shown it in the movie?
No, just like, instead of just like some random fire, just
make it 9/11.
Yeah, like why not? I don't understand.
I'm not sure why they didn't. I think that would have.
Maybe it's because they're living on Staten Island and they wanted to keep it about Staten Island.
Maybe, yeah.
I didn't even know Staten Island had homes on it. I always thought it was just kind of like this, where the Liberty, whatever is, and that's it.
Oh.
I didn't know there were like entire neighborhoods and schools and restaurants and.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
I was like, wow, this place is bigger than I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
This is true. So I learned something about geography by accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was, it was just, it's a good story.
It's a great, heartwarming movie.
But here's my negative thing, and I complain about this every time somebody says watch a Judd Apatow movie. Why do you need to make it 2.5 hours? Why does a comedy drama have to be every one of his movies is like 2 hours and 45.
I didn't even care.
2 hours and 30 minutes. Oh my god.
I didn't even notice. I liked it.
It's like this scene is going on forever.
There were a few long scenes, but
I'm glad we only saw 2 movies this week because both
they
were
were
like
both real at over
like
2
5
hours.
hours. Yeah, like good lord.
It was a lot, people.
I normally, if a movie's really, really good, then I want to spend more time with the characters. This movie was that for me. I wanted to be with these characters more. I would watch a sequel.
It's funny you said that because, like, I thought the Blood 5, like, went by really fast.
I thought it was way too long.
Right, but I'm the opposite end. I thought the Blood 5 was, like, too quick. They needed to add more.
Oh.
But in this movie, I was like, oh my god, this movie is so long. This movie has so many scenes that are so...
This movie felt quick to me.
Really?
Felt
Okay, yeah. Like, I was already, like, I can cut out 3 or 4 scenes. Them hanging out and going to some college party, then getting stoned and having dumb conversations, and like fighting with that kid about giving him their shoe. It's funny, but it just keeps going, and you're like, stop, just stop. This is too long. Like, I don't need 3 walks with these kids. I just need 1 big walk with this kid. And that's the only thing that's keeping this movie, for me personally, from being great. which is really weird because you said that about the Blood 5. But I was like getting annoyed with this movie. Am I the only one who felt this way?
I think so.
I don't know.
Maybe it's depending on how much you relate to the movie as well. Because I know we might not have related as much.
Well, I'm not black in Vietnam, but that movie felt fast.
But there are certain things about a movie. Like if you really have interest in it, you're not gonna notice how fast time goes.
I could care less about Vietnam.
Which is funny because I really cared about this story of him and his dad and him. Like the last half hour of this movie is perfection.
Yeah.
Like now that
absolutely.
Like when he gets to the firehouse, stays with those firefighters. They show him the ropes and he starts cleaning.
Why you gotta clean the truck? It's just gonna get fire on it.
The scene that really I was like, I'm over this scene was that dude just walks up and he's like, I've been stabbed. I just fell though. He's like, you need to go to the hospital.
That was funny. I thought it was.
It was funny,
relief.
but then it went on for like 12 minutes.
Yeah,
but
they
he was just coming up
one.
with like new things to say. That was so funny. But I think it's true that it could have been a lot shorter, and I think they just were trying to put like some comical relief in there because
that was not comical. Not even I mean, there were some funny lines, but that was like, oh my god, you got stabbed.
I was dying with every single thing that guy said. Like it was hilarious to me. I was laughing so hard. I think it was a situation of like that's it looked like it was probably like some kind of like who knows what gang war or something. And
drug deal gone wrong.
Yeah. And so he's like over there trying to make sure that like his identity doesn't get compromised at the same time.
If everybody says something, I got into a gardening accident.
That was so funny.
I mean, it's fine. And the same thing with these dumbs. First they're like, we're gonna rob this place. It's like, that's just stupid. Okay, now we're robbing this place. And it just kept going.
The robbing scene, I felt like was not necessary for the movie.
No, not even a little bit. Like
it wasn't.
Well,
bad,
no, I can't say that because he needs to get out of that crowd and get into a better place. So
That's
it was
true.
important.
Yeah.
But oh my god, like that was. I think there was like 12, 15 minutes of them just being in that, and the guys like shooting them. And, let's take care of the cat. Don't you dare forget about my cat. See, that was fine. That's funny.
That was funny.
Yeah, but like...
Oh, and then his girlfriend was real, man. It was real. He wasn't making it up.
So hilarious. That was so hilarious.
Again, they could have just like cut that by like 8 minutes, made it like 2-3 minutes, where they break in and get caught, and then boom, like off to that. But they just kept going, and then he shows up at his girlfriend's place. Hey, little guy, how you doing? Good. Can I stay in your bunk bed? It's like, no, that's not gonna happen, bro.
That was hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Both of these movies, I was like, they can be great, but something just kind of pulled me a little bit away in both movies. So I don't know. That's just my.
I didn't get pulled out of Staten Island.
Well, that's good.
I liked it all the way through.
I love that one part. I wanted to mention it because you brought it up in the non-spoiler, but I didn't want to because it was a spoiler. That one part though where they're all watching the baseball game together at the baseball field, and he's over there just trashing them, saying they shouldn't have any kids or anything, and like the one younger guy, he's like, should I not have kids?
No, you're fine, buddy. You're fine.
That's a great scene. See, those scenes were perfect length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then other scenes with the kid getting a tattoo, they're just so long. But I did like the white supremacy one. With the tattoo. He's like, can I be your intern or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious. And he's just like trash talking both of them. It's like, I don't know. Like,
but what would you say to someone that wants a Grim Reaper tattoo wrapped in a Confederate flag? Do you have a death wish?
No, do
I
you?
don't have a death wish.
I see that stuff, like, that could be long because it was actually funny and it had a point.
Yeah.
Well, some scenes felt like it tried to have a point, but then they lost the point because it was just too long. All the mom stuff was great. All the stuff. I'm trying to do my own Brooklyn accent. All the stuff with Bill Burr and like them butting heads.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Like every scene with Bill Burr was great. Like there is not one scene with Bill Burr, in my opinion, That was bad. Oh my god, the ex-wife scene. I totally forgot about that.
Was
I was
so
like,
funny.
please don't sleep with this woman. Please don't do it. Because I didn't know where it was going. And I was like, is he kind of get back with her by getting her drunk and they're going to have sex? Like, what is happening right now? And I was so freaked out.
I honestly was wondering about that too because
I was like, you're talking about sex.
Oh
I'm
no,
like,
they're
no.
over there. They're over there drinking together, and like he's like trying to like
He's like this 18-year-old kid talking to this like 40-year-old woman, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so uncomfortable."
Why don't I don't remember this.
It was the scene where he found out all the stuff
about
they
to get
got
back at
Bill
him.
Burr kicked out of the house.
Yeah, like he had gambling issues.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I shouldn't have been married to him, but he had a really big dick." So that's what. And like I'm just like, "Oh no, where's this going? Where's the scene going? I don't want to." And then it was like, "Oh okay, he's just trying to get dirt." And then of course the scene with the pool was so great.
That was
That
hilarious.
scene is everything and more than I mean, like everything with the firefighter stuff at the last half hour and some of the stuff in the middle was good. It could have been. Yeah, I know we're talking too much about this. Anyways, long story short, you guys might like it, and you might be like Shannon and say, "Hey, like it's all great," or you'd be like me, dragged on too long. About George too. You thought this whole movie was great altogether, right?
I thought it was great.
Yeah. So everyone's different. Let us know your thoughts. I guess.
But definitely watch it.
Yeah.
All around, golden popcorn.
Both of these movies I think are going to end up in my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, probably. Well,
I feel like it.
This one will probably be in my top 10. The Blood 5 will not.